What does the first day of a 5-plus-year prison sentence feel like? I can tell you most in the beginning think they will get out on bail or something. I was charged with first-degree unaliving, life without parole, but assumed I'd make bail and beat it. I remember telling this guy I'd be out soon on bail. He asked if that was me on the news the other night. I said yes. He replied, "Boy, you better fluff your pillow because you aren't going anywhere." He was right too, I wasn't. I remember in the beginning going to court while it was still in the lower level court. I hadn't been indicted yet, and some guy was saying he had to do a year. I was appalled. I recall thinking that this man's life is now over. I mean a whole year. Well, I was moved to Superior Court and they closed down the old jail I was in and put me in a brand new one. I was housed with those with serious crimes. This was 1992. After a while you slowly get used to it like anything else. You see people you are housed with, and we never left that pod, get long sentences and you just get used to the idea that this might be a stretch. It's like gaining weight or something. You don't really notice it until your clothes don't fit, so you move up a size. Then later on another size. It's just a process. Toward the end I knew I wasn't going to see the free world for quite some time. Actually, the only time I shed a tear throughout the whole process was after the lawyer worked out a deal that if I plead guilty I could get out in 10. I agreed. I was guilty of taking a life, and though there were some mitigating circumstances I didn't want to risk a life sentence, I saw others make that gamble and lose. After I agreed I remember calling my then girlfriend and we were fighting or something, I don't even remember, but I called her and kind of yelled, "I'm going to do it for 10 years now. Are you happy? 10 years. Something to that effect. I then went back to my cell and looked out the window and it was sunset. It hit me that I wouldn't see another sunset as a free man for 10 years. My eyes welled up a bit at the thought. I was now 21 but had been arrested and awaiting trial since 20. On the day of my sentencing I was sitting in a cell with 3 other guys. I was quiet and calm. Somewhat emotionless, or I guess at that point resigned to what was going to happen. The 3 of them were talking. They were getting out or something and hadn't really done serious time. I was only half paying attention. One of them looked at me and said something like I looked happy. Obviously in a sarcastic way. Not rude, but I guess he was wondering what I was doing. I just replied ecstatic in an offhand way. A few minutes later my lawyer showed up and went over the sentence with me. Also, he said they forgot about all the lesser charges and were just going to give me 5 years for those as well to run concurrent with my 10 years. When he left I sat back down and looked over at the others who were now quiet. They all had that look I must have had when I heard the guy was getting a year in the beginning. One questioned in a clarifying way, "Was that 10 years? I don't really remember much more of that, just that they looked mortified. And thus I began my time. I had 1 year waiting trial and 9 more to go. As I was only 20 when I was arrested, I remember thinking I had to do the first 10 years of my life again, or from age 10 to 20 again. Needless to say, at that age, time doesn't exactly fly by. So for me, starting a 10-year sentence, not 5 as originally asked, was more just an adaptation to reality. It wasn't like a bucket of cold water being thrown on me like it would be for someone coming right off the street and doing 5 years. And 5 years is no little sentence either, even though I did double and even met guys that had been in longer than I had been alive. As one guy in prison told me, referring to a 6-month sentence, "Hold your breath for 6 minutes and you'll see how long 6 months or 6 years is. But as they say, this too shall pass." I did my time and have been out 14 years already. A middle-aged man now, it's hard to grasp. Where does life go?